Hey guys, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Fred. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, MP3 player. That's audibletrial.com/Fred. But for now, enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Hey. Come on in. Sit down, relax, have a cup of coffee. I don't know, get on a treadmill. Maybe you're driving. Maybe whatever you're doing. Welcome to the Book Geek Unchained. That's right. I am Frédéric Bay. I'm the Tower of Power. Too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky is the limit and space is the place. You are listening to the Book Geek Unchained, home to literary marvels. Those you know and those you don't know. I am a guy. I am a dude. I'm a bookworm. I'm a book geek. I'm a writer. I'm a host. I'm a friend. I'm a partner. I am an animal lover. This podcast is about fiction and non-fiction books that we love. Books change our lives. Books entertain us. Books make us grow. Basically, it is a live podcast. It is free every time you download it on iTunes or Stitcher. Please go over there and subscribe. It is listener supported, so the way you can do that is tell a friend. Leave a review on iTunes. It really helps a brother out when you do that. It helps increase those algorithms. And the more we're out there, the better product I can provide and we can provide. And for more podcasts, free gifts, Q&A articles, subscribe at FrédéricBay.com, on Twitter at ByFred, on Facebook. Simply type in my name, Frédéric Bay, and check out my YouTube channel. Oh yeah, brother. Frédéric Bay, that's Frédéric Bay for previous episode. Alrighty. I always like to start off with something funny. Listen to this. A lawyer, a priest, and a young boy were in a plane that was going to crash, yet they only had 2 parachutes. The lawyer proclaimed that since he was the smartest man on the plane, that he deserved to survive. He took a chute and jumped. The priest looks at the young boy and, reflecting back on his life, told the young boy to take the last parachute, since he had already lived a wonderful and full life. The boy replied, "You can have the other chute because the smartest man on this planet just jumped out with my book bag." All right. I love that. I love these kind of jokes. Hey, this weekend we have an amazing guest. Hey, by the way, I just want to thank you for joining us last week for the 2016 podcast blast. I had a blast talking to all these people, and I know you did too. And you know what? For everybody who just listened, thank you. And if you haven't listened to them, go back. We did 7 days, 7 episodes, and 7 amazing authors. It was, man, how inspiring is it to talk to these people? I just love it. And this is the only reason why I do this podcast is it's my excuse to talk to these people. I mean, we have people from all over the US, all over Canada, and oh my God, I just love I love the exchange. I love people who talk about what they're passionate about. And this show is this is what I'm about. And this week, oh my God, we have an amazing guest. And I'm going to tell you why I have an amazing guest. I'm going to tell you who she is. Because for everybody who is on the spiritual path right now, woo, this is going to be cool. You got to pick up her book. I read it over the holidays. I loved it. And so this is going to be a 2-part conversation, and today we're going to have part 1. Her name is Beth Banning. She is a best-selling author and inspirational speaker, a spiritual catalyst who lives in California with her husband, their cat, and their 6-pound poodle. She has published numerous books, including Interviewed by God, which is the book we're going to talk about today. So the title is Interviewed by God, A Journey to Freedom, the Meditation for Life series also that she wrote. And she co-authors several consciousness-shifting seminars that serve as a catalyst for participants to emerge with a whole new way of relating to themselves and to the world that helps them experience greater success in the most meaningful areas of their lives. I'll tell you what, Beth Banning is authentic. The one thing that came across in her book, Interviewed by God, A Journey to Freedom, is her genuineness. Man, she talks about everything. She talks about her, money. She talks about her struggles with money, her struggle. We really go inside her head. And it's very rare, I find, that, writers sometimes, we get inside them. It's like, not so much. She really shared her soul with us. She shares her soul with the reader, and I know you will love this interview. It was supposed to last 45 minutes, but finally we talked for about an hour and a half, and I decided to do this a 2-part interview. So a few things you will learn from the book real quick. How to connect with and trust your inner guidance. Man, that book brought me back to that. The book brought me back to the source. It brought me back to the answers are inside ourselves. So it really brought me back there. Another thing, how to uncover and open a long forgotten spiritual doorway. How to find and get on the fastest path to peace and happiness we're all looking for. And you know what? The answer is pretty easy. How to turn the ego mind. Ooh, our ego. We all have one. I certainly have one. And sometimes it serves me, sometimes it doesn't serve me. But anyway, in this, you'll learn how to turn the ego mind into the ally. That's right. It was meant to be. All right. Hey, I don't want to waste any more time with, I just want you guys to listen to this conversation. And again, God bless Beth Banning for her openness, her honesty. It was an honor to speak to her. So without further ado, we're going to get to the conversation right after this. Hey guys, quick thanks to RadioGuestList.com, where you can find people to interview for free. Or if you want to be interviewed, you can go there too. RadioGuestList.com. Thank you guys for your support. And speaking of you listeners, I want to hear from you. If you would like to be on this show to discuss a book you have written or that you loved, if you have a book recommendation, or you just want to chat, email me. I want to hear from you at info@fredericbai.com. That's info@fredericbai.com. And for advertisement offers, use the same address with subject advertising. All right, so hello. So we are here with Beth Banning. She's a best-selling author, an inspirational speaker, a spiritual catalyst. She has just published her new book titled Interviewed by God, A Journey to Freedom, and she is also the author of numerous other books, including the Meditation for Life series, the Marriage Guide series. How are you today, Beth?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am fabulous. I just want to start off by saying that I read your whole book during Christmas. I read it during Christmas Day also. I loved it. And I think the first thing that came, the first thing that I noticed in your book is your authenticity. You were genuine, and I sometimes you read a book and it's kind of, it's fake, or you were real and you really bared your soul in that. And I really appreciate that. Thank you for that book. All right. So let's start off with, an idea here. Give us an idea of your background.
It's funny. I really started just like so many of the people that are listening, I'm sure. I had a really normal life. I was an actress, is what I went to school for. I, lived in New York City, And I really pretty much had just a normal life. I went to acting school, but acting didn't work out. So I went around looking for what to do. So I ended up making jewelry for a while. I was a photographer for a while. Obviously, you can see I came from a really creative family. So I knew that realm was where I wanted to end up. And then I met my now husband, and we started doing relationship communication work, and I started writing. So that's where my creative juices went at that time. But honestly, I didn't know that I was ever searching for anything. I wasn't really a searcher. I was more of what I call a finder. And, when things were ready to find me, they just did. So, but one of the things that I didn't realize, but that I find now is the essential nature of life, the essential nature of my life is really inside of me. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that I was searching for something. I didn't know that something was missing in my life, except for this underlying kind of agitation that was always with me. And really, that's what's funny, is that I didn't realize I was searching, but I was searching. So, that's that. And then when it found me, I realized it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. What I hear from you is, you work with a lot of people, you meet a lot of people, mm-hmm. and it seems that we're all searching for something. And why do you think, okay, I'll quote page 4. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. So you have a story about the dolphins, and I'll quote it. So here it is. But how did I get here? What did it all mean? And how in the world was I able to receive a message from a dolphin in the first place? It all began when I started accepting, trusting, and following my internal guidance. I think it relates to what you just said. We don't follow our internal guidance. Why?
And that's really what I was searching for. And that's really what I believe everyone is searching for. Not some of us, but every single one of us, whether you know it or not, you are searching to reconnect with your internal guidance. And whatever you call that, I don't care what you call it. It's called by 100 names, but it's all the same thing, and it's all what we are searching for. And why aren't we connected, and why don't we follow our internal guidance? One of the first reason is we don't know it exists, honestly. We, from a very young age, are taught out of it, because we're taught to look for external authority. Everything, if you think back through your life, if there is someone out there that can't relate to this, then I am so thrilled for them, because if you think back to your earliest childhood memories, it is about being, Don Ruel, I can't even say his name now, the guy that wrote the 4 Agreements.
Oh,
you know who I mean? He's
yeah.
Don Miguel Ruiz. Miguel Ruiz, yeah. He talks about being domesticated. And I love the way, everybody can say it differently, but I love the way he does. We are trained like dogs, and mostly dogs and domesticated animals are trained. We're trained with a system of punishment and rewards. If you are a good little girl or boy, you get rewards. If you're bad, you get punished. And we have learned our lessons very well. And what we're taught, even in school, we're taught to go for the gold star, or the grade, the money when we get older, the boats, the cars, the big house. We're taught that out there is our happiness. So we become so disconnected from ourselves, from what what we came in with, connected with, is our internal guidance. So that's why.
Yeah. Do you feel, because what you're talking about, and I think your book is a great guide for that. Do you feel that the world is shifting right now? I think you nailed it, where we are domesticated. we're taught, this is right, this is wrong, blah, 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 punishment, reward type of deal. Do you feel there is a shift going on right now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can see it. A lot of people will look at what is happening as something to be afraid of, something else to be afraid of, But really, there are things to be sad about and uncomfortable about. But anytime there is change, there has to be agitation. There's a word called perturbation, and it's what happens in a seed before it grows. Mm-hmm. There's this change creates this agitation that if you put your hands together and just shake them, you can feel it. It becomes this thing, and then it pops. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening in the world right now. There's a lot of this agitation, and there has to be that agitation before change. And I believe, and I mean, in our linear existence, I don't know how long. It could be way longer than we wish it would be. I don't know. But that agitation is happening, and that's what you're seeing, and that's what you're feeling, and big change is coming. Big change.
Do you feel that change is just in America or around the world?
Oh, I believe it's around the world. We are so connected now with the internet, and the way we are able to communicate, that I really don't think you can disconnect one thing from the other at this point. I really, so much of what's happening, we see happening around the world. So I think it's definitely the world.
So I know you talked about it a lot in your book. For our younger listeners, what were you like at school? Were you were you the geek? Were you the troublemaker? How were you at school?
Well, I was different at different ages, but high school, I have, and I hate to label myself the way I hate to label others, but what some people would call dyslexia. So I read differently than others, and I perceive differently than some others. So I didn't have an easy time at school. And so when you don't have an easy time at school, you go one of several ways. And I ended up, mostly I was just trying to escape the discomfort at school, So I did a lot of drugs, and I skipped a lot of school, and I, got pissed off when my teachers, wanted to tell me I was lazy and I needed to work harder. So I don't know what you'd call that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It definitely wasn't the geek.
What would you say to a listener right now who, get pissed off and leave school, and, what would you say to your younger self? Or what would you say, let's say it's, your daughter or whomever, that she's behaving that way?
I mean, what I would say, do I expect me to listen to me? Probably not. But what I would say was, to quiet down, to know that you have everything within you. You don't have to rebel against the people who are trying to tell you what to do, or you think they're trying to tell you what to do. You don't have to do what they tell you, but you need to quiet down and listen to yourself, because all the answers are within you, all of them. And you are blessed and gifted and a incredible human being.
Awesome. Once again, this is Frédéric Bayou, and you are listening to the book Geek Unchained. We are here with Beth Banning. She's a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, spiritual catalyst, and she just published her new book titled Interviewed by God, A Journey to Freedom, and she is also the author of numerous other books, including Meditation for Life series, the Marriage Guide series. You can see more at bethbanning.com. All right. You write about growing up filled with doubt, confusion, and fear. And we just talked about it a little bit now. Why do you think you've been successful overcoming those feelings while others struggle their entire lives?
Mostly I don't know if other people aren't being successful. It's so funny. I think most of us spend an awful lot of time trying to be uncomfortable. I mean, trying to be comfortable. That's really what we're searching for is, I was talking before, we're searching for something, and whether it's conscious or not becomes the question. And so most of us right now are searching to be comfortable. We're searching to be comfortable. And I think the reason that, we use the word successful, and I want to change the word successful a little to joyful or happy or living my life in a way that I get it. I want to wake up in the morning. And the reason is because I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I've realized that this search for comfort has trapped me. And if I'm willing to be uncomfortable, I'm free. I'm willing to experience my life. And if we're here to do anything, it's to experience life. To experience life. And that means all of it. That means the comfortable feelings and the uncomfortable feelings. So if you're willing to be uncomfortable, knowing that comfort and discomfort come and go like the weather, then your life will be successful. Not only successful, but joyful, because you finally can stop pushing stuff away and start feeling. And feeling, experiencing is what we're here to do.
You mentioned being uncomfortable. Why do we avoid that? Why?
Discomfort?
Yeah.
There are so many reasons, but I think the bottom line or the bottom of it is that we're afraid that if we touch in, well, first of all, we're not taught to deal with our feelings at all. I mean, again, you can see it in the whole paradigm of domestication. But I think for the most part, as we get older, that if we think that if we start feeling the discomfort that we're going to fall into this gooey black pit and never come out. And that's why I love putting this idea of the weather around your feelings, because, you don't sit there and look at the rain and go away, you shouldn't be raining. What are you, nuts? Mm-hmm. Because we know it's, we grab an umbrella and we wait for it to pass. And that is all negative feelings or uncomfortable feelings is something that if you allow it, and what's funny is the more you allow it, the faster they move. The faster they move. And the same thing is with situations in your life. Your life is not the situations in it. And this is a huge distinction. This is something...
Wait, repeat that. Your life...
is not the situations in it. What happens is that something happens in our life, and I'll use mine. I really am an open book. I wrote the book.
Yeah, I see that.
It's like I am an open book. So my husband has cancer right now. And we found out about 3 months ago. And this is something that could devastate our whole life. It could become our life. Him having cancer could become our life. And instead... we look at, and again, I'm using this very extreme example, and the people listening, it's like, but it's for every little thing. All these little situations become our life. It's like it's all we think about. We try to fix it. We try to make it better. It's like we spend all the time we could be joyful figuring it out, like our minds could figure it out. And again, when you're connected to your guidance, all you have to do is go, what is there for me to do right now? Right now. Not 6 months from now, but right now. And again, the reason I use this situation with my husband's cancer is because it's so extreme, in like a lot of people's lives. It was pretty extreme in my life. And again, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like it was a shock or I'm happy about it. But we have situations that come up that are uncomfortable. And instead of fighting it or trying to figure it all out, every morning or as often as we can, we get up and we go, okay, what is there for us to do today? And, some days it's about doing something with the cancer, like looking something up or researching something or figuring out a different medication. And sometimes it's going to take a bath. And sometimes it's going to walk on the beach. And sometimes it's, it's living this beautiful life I have. So instead of making the situation with his cancer, making it our life, it is a situation in our life so that we still have life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you very much. In your book, basically the book, you speak with God, you interact with God. And I've really found it interesting because I kind of used to do the same thing where it's crazy how when you're in a situation and you write something and the answer kind of comes to you as you ask the question.
Yeah.
And I think you experience the same thing, right? On page 234, you ask a question: what else I can do to support others who seem to be suffering? Other than holding a space of love. And then God answers. The answer is, first, do not underestimate holding a pure state of love. And of course, do what you are moved to do in each moment, which relates to what you just said. I caution you, though, pay attention to the energy that motivates you. Notice your motivations, your intentions, those things that cause you to act. The energy will either lead you to something that supports evolution or detracts from it. There is no good or bad way. It is just a process. So do not distress yourself over it. As you get more and more conscious, these are the things to pay attention to. We don't pay attention. Let's say you're 30 years old. You're living the life. You have children. You have a mortgage. You have a job. You have this. You have that. When you're 30, you don't think about what is my motivation behind it? You understand what I'm saying? What would you say to somebody who's in that situation now?
So let me get clear. So just as the question, because there were a lot of words before it. Yeah. So the question is, so there's somebody with a mortgage and they have kids, and so what can they do? Like, what happens is people think that how can I possibly follow my guidance when I have a job and kids like that?
Well, you're stressed, and I know, you're stressed out. I mean, you got to pay the bills, and I know you've lived it with your child, and I think you're a great person to talk about that stuff. What would you tell them?
Thank you. Well, first, it's interesting, and it is in my book, because I asked that question. I asked, this is okay for me. Here I am doing this, but what about kids? People with jobs and kids. And again, I haven't read my book in a while, but the answers, and a lot of these answers came through me. So they don't live in me as they were written. But what I gleaned and what I hold in my heart about that is that when we connect with what's inside of us, when we come and are motivated from the essential qualities that live within us, then everything just happens more spontaneously. And what people really think is that if they got connected to what was in them, that they would have to quit their jobs, that they would, leave their relationships and, all these extreme things. And the truth is that when you get connected to your inner guidance, more happens within you than changes outside of you. So yes, maybe there are some people that when they really get connected, and this is such an interesting question because it has so many dimensions to it. So one of the things that has come through me just lately, because I'm really exploring this whole world of internal guidance, and my belief is that we are really here on this earth to live as embodied spirits. And what that means to me is to be completely connected to our source, whatever we call that, and be guided by that and live fully as human beings on this plane, enjoying all the gifts and yummy things that there are to enjoy on this earth, right? So what has been coming through me is that there are 3 access points to internal guidance. And what happens so often is people jump into a spiritual kind of desire to just live with their guidance. Oh my gosh, there are so many parts to this. But what I'm realizing is there are 3 access points to internal guidance. There's physical, mental, and spiritual. So either people jump to the spiritual, and what I'm starting to talk about here really is the spiritual. You're connected, you know what there is to do, and you start doing it. But the problem that I'm seeing and the challenge people have doing that is that they haven't taken care of the mental aspect. And what happens is the training that we have had just screws us up so like completely that we keep getting disconnected. Even if we start to get connected in our spiritual aspect, all this training we have got to give our minds something productive to do first. And until we start shifting some of the training, and like our minds are here to help us create and do beautiful things. And, you can call it the mind or the ego or, other things, but we came in with it, we're designed with it, and it's something we need. So for that aspect, what I suggest, and I'm going to go back to your question, I kind of got off.
No, go ahead.
But what I suggest is that people start getting connected, like giving the mind something to do, like in the work my husband and I always did, we use values. It's very real earth kind of stuff, It's like, what is it that lives so deeply in you, in your mind, is like your values. So what is important to you? What do you value? But then there are all these beliefs, like these limiting beliefs that run us unconsciously. So we have to get really conscious and start, exploring these limiting beliefs so we can then put this whole in conscious intention in place. And then we will never go wrong. So you connect physically, mentally, and spiritually. And you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. But for now, what I tell people to do, if they've got a family and they've got jobs, is start getting connected to what they value. Start getting connected to what they value. And I'm creating this whole 3-part video series because I'm so passionate. I believe that if everybody got connected to their inner guidance, it was like, I know you started saying it in the beginning, but this dolphin gave me a message. And the message was that if we start loving each other, we don't have to worry about them, the dolphins, or global warming, or the economy, because none of this would be happening. And I believe the only way we can start loving each other is if we get connected to our own inner guidance. That was a very long answer to the question.
No problem. All right, just before continuing this conversation, for you, the listeners of the Book Geek Unchained podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I personally recommend the audiobook The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, or you can choose the audiobook of your choice for free by trying audible.com. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Fred. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Fred. You will be entertained, and at the same time, you will help a brother out. So everybody wins. Go to audibletrial.com/Fred for your free audiobook. That's great. We are here with Beth Banning. She's a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, a spiritual catalyst. She just published her new book titled Interviewed by God. Go pick it up. It's a journey. It's called A Journey to Freedom. Interviewed by God, A Journey to Freedom. Go pick it up. And she's also the author of numerous other books, including the Meditation for Life series and the Marriage Guide series. Find more at bethbanning.com. What is your spiritual practice?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, at this point, my spiritual practice is following my guidance. Honestly.
How do you do that?
Every day I wake up and I ask. I mean, I have a meditation practice as well, and quieting is just so important. But what I do each morning is quiet down and I ask, what is there for me to do today? And sometimes I get a list and sometimes I get one thing. And in each moment during the day, if I feel uncomfortable, so this is a really quick way for other people to start something like this, is use discomfort as an alarm. Discomfort, because remember, we're looking to be comfortable. So we can really get, we can be aware of discomfort real quickly because we're pretty sensitive to it. So when you use discomfort as an alarm, so anytime I feel uncomfortable, I stop and I ask, what is there for me to do? And I do it. And that's the practice, because sometimes I don't want to do it, but I do it. So that's my practice.
I think some people think, sometimes we think that the practice must always be joyful and comfortable.
Well, it's that comfortable thing again. There are so many spiritual myths, I'm telling you, like somehow when you, like everybody's searching to awaken, like somehow when you awaken, your life will be constant bliss and joy and nothing, quote unquote bad will happen to you. Well, I want to tell you, that is not what, and it's not even what I think I would want. I don't know. I guess I would try it, but really it's like to experience all of life. Mm-hmm. All of life.
A lot of people are listening here and they will read your book and, many of them want to start a business. They want to write a book. They want to take on these entrepreneurial endeavors. Now you're doing it all. You're a speaker. You're an author. You're a business owner.
I am.
And a lot of people are rigged with fear. Fear. We are fearful of. Anyway, so I think there are major fears that we have to face. Mm-hmm. I think the major one is money. Number 2 is rejection. Number 3 is failure. Mm-hmm. Let me read you a paragraph from your book on page 250. That was the answer from, I think that was the answer you got. All right. So most people don't see money as energy, but as a means to get what they want. And if you don't have enough of it, you suffer. Money has long been associated with idea of scarcity and imbued with fear that its exchange rarely feels loving. Gifts of money are often wrapped in fear so that they are not much of a gift to anyone. This can happen when people give money as a way of control or power play or to buy someone's love when they fear that they won't be loved any other way. Money can also be spent or given irresponsibly, leaving the giver and the receiver less than satisfied. How do you overcome, and you speak extensively in your book, how do you overcome that fear of lack of money?
Oh my gosh. This is a long story. I hope we have time, but I'll try to make it short. So I had, it's in the book, but I had this vision, and there was this big old dilapidated machine like across from me, and in front of it was like this vault and these little scared men sitting in front of it guarding these big bars of gold, and on the other side came this big whirlwind and it sucked all the gold out, and the little old men didn't even notice that all this gold was being sucked out of this vault. And what I understood from this thing, which that is the very condensed version of this vision, but what I understood is that old dilapidated machine really is our economy and our government and all those things, and the little scared men. And really, they're little scared men. They're scared, is that if things change, their world will fall apart, and that's all the, like the old guard that is, running the economy and all those things. And I really believe that when something better is created, everything will just flow to it. It's not like anybody. We've got to stop this us against them thinking, like somehow, the 1% is our enemy. And really, we're all in this together, and everybody is just scared. So if we start creating something that's better, everybody will flock to it. It can't help but flock to it. So I had learned this process of tithing from Edwin Gaines, and I just loved it, and I took it on full force. And what it is the for the people who don't know what tithing is, I guess originally, and I wasn't really a religious person growing up, so I didn't really know. I had to look into it. But tithing is you give 10% to your church normally, or your spiritual center or something like that, of your income. And but behind that idea in the spiritual community, I always heard it as, if you give 10%, you'll get back tenfold. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like it. It felt weird, like I'm giving to get, Mm-hmm. So there was this little tiny part in her book that just like stimulated me, and I was like, I'm going to go try this. And what it was what I did was I took, and you could do it with dollar bills, $5 bills, $20 bills, but I put $10 or $20 in my pocket. And sometimes I don't like $20 can be a lot, So whatever feels like a stretch to you, whatever feels like a stretch. And I would have them in my pocket. And when I saw something inspiring, something that touched me, something that moved me, that another human being did, and this was the key for me, that it was a being to being connection, that I would go over to them and let them know what they did that touched, moved, or inspired me, and I gave them money. Mm-hmm. So this whole idea of moving money with love, oh my God, they were freaked out. Like 99 practically % of the time, people were like, oh my God, I can't take that money. No, blah, blah, blah. It was like crazy. And I would explain to them that this is my tithing practice, that them taking this money from me is a gift to me. And we had the most beautiful connection that it is the most fun exercise I have ever done and will ever do. And then I started doing this all the time. I still do this practice, but it occurred to me, or it rose out of me, that what if we all started doing this? And not only just did it kind of with $10 or $20, but what if we said, okay, what is my enough? Like, what kind of life could I have? Because we're like running after money like there's never enough. Like, we could have millions of dollars in the bank and it would not be enough. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So what is your enough? What is the lifestyle, the comfort level? And again, comfort's not a bad thing. I like it. But so what is that comfort level that would feel like, and then start giving away 50% of everything over and above that. So if you had your perfect lifestyle and you had enough income flowing in to easily, maintain that, and anything over and above that, giving 50% away to things that touched, moved, and inspired you, this world would change. So I'm looking, as soon as I have some time, but there's a whole, I've been told that I'm here to help change the way we perceive and use money on this planet. I still don't know when that's coming, but I've learned to be patient. So we'll see.
So you would say to somebody who's, again, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever age, and they want to start this new endeavor, and they go, well, I can't do it because I'm afraid of the money. What would you say? You would start giving?
Start tithing. Start tithing to people that touch, move, and inspire you. Again, you can tithe. It's the difference between tithing to something that inspires you and something that's in need. Now, I'm not saying don't give to charities. I think that, it's important. But when you're giving to need, then it is like, oh my God, these people need this. It's out of fear. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now, again, let's not stop doing that because we have not changed things yet. And we need to be in that compassionate space to give to those in need. But at the same time, if we start moving money with inspiration and love, things shift. And just go try it. I mean, again, if $20 is a stretch for you, like a big stretch, then go to 10. Whatever it is, a stretch. But make it a stretch so it's a little challenging to hand that money away. And then find things that touch, move, and inspire you. Now, the other part about this is your focus is on things, looking for things that touch, move, and inspire you. Mm-hmm. So then you're living in that like field of inspiration, that field of gratitude, which is way different than, most of us look around and we see all the stuff that's painful. So it's a twofold exercise.
Always. So it comes down to how does it feel really? How does it feel really?
That's right. Exactly.
No, it's true. We give to think. Yeah. How does it feel? And from your book, again, that's always what the answer comes back to. All right. Failure. Many people are afraid of failure. I don't want to fail because when you fail, it's humiliating. It's humbling. It sucks. You lose money. You lose whatever, the trust of business people, of other people around you. How do you deal with that when you're starting off?
Well, again, I'm like a third generation entrepreneur. So, failure was kind of, if you're an entrepreneur, you kind of get failure and you get it as, again, it's an opportunity. It's not, it drives me so nuts because, again, this whole idea of failure is just because of how we were trained. In any, if you, I don't even know how to put this, but I know you get it, and so many people get it. It's that failure is only an opportunity to see what didn't work. You can't create anything without failure. I mean, there's great quotes about it. I'd love to change the word, but there's no other word that works for that, So when you do something and it doesn't work out the way you had in mind, you find out what doesn't work and you try something else. Again, we made failure mean that the authorities, we'd get punished, we'd get scolded, we didn't get our prizes. So failure all of a sudden becomes this bad and wrong thing.
I think from my experience and the experience when I speak to people, oftentimes, especially if you're 20, if you're kind of still listening to a lot, to your parents a lot, and oftentimes I think we're rigged with fear. We are, and sometimes we have, in our mind, in the back of our mind, we go, well, if I fail, the I told you so. I told you not to try that, but you did it anyway, and you failed, and look at the results. And I think, sometimes I think that's what prevents a lot of people to kind of, especially young people who are not, again, they're not aware of who they really are yet. Mm-hmm. Or, people like 40 or 50 and all that. But, I think that's big, and I love that you say that, failure is just part of the process, basically. That's what you're saying. And,
if you look at anyone that's very successful and ask them, I mean, there's been studies that, those overnight success, took 20 years. So it's not, we just see the celebrity. We don't see all the growth and failures along the way. So we really have to keep that in mind.
All right. So would you say to them, accept failure as a fact that it will happen and just move on?
Well, honestly, celebrate failure. It's like just of what you just said is that most people live in fear. That if you're failing, it means you're out there playing, you're out there creating, you're out there doing stuff. So it's like if I think there's a quote, and I don't remember who said it, but if you're not failing, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything big enough, because there's got to be failure. So celebrate it. Try that. Shift your idea. And again, there's so many things that live underneath that idea of failure that have to be shifted. But start with failures, comes and it goes like the weather. You use the weather for everything. It's one of my favorite analogies. It'll go. Just try something else. You'll have a different result, So yeah, just keep playing. Play, create. You will have failure. It's fine. It's good.
All right, guys. Hey, how was that? That was part one. That was part one of our conversation with Beth Banning. How did you like it? I know it inspired you. It had to inspire you. And you know what? Part two is just as inspiring as this one. Trust me. We're going to go into so much stuff in part two. We're going to go into, we're going to talk about, we talk about fears. We're going to talk about we're going to dive into even deeper. We're going to dive in even deeper into the fears. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about her plans. We're going to talk about her mother. Everybody struggled. Sometimes we fight with our parents, and she had an ill mother, and we're going to talk about that. Hey, part two is just as amazing. Thank you for listening. Right before I ride off into the sunset, I just want to say a few plugins real quick. First of all, Creative Magic Unchained. Oh yeah, my other podcast is online. It's now, and it drops every single Friday. It's fun. Hey, we talk to magicians, we talk to photographers, we talk to every kind of imaginable artists, and purpose of the show is to inspire you, the reader, people, to unleash your creative powers. This is what my passion is. This is what my purpose is. This is what I love to talk about, the creative process, and why don't we go after our creative dreams? Why don't we take the first steps towards our creative dreams? If you want to start a business, that's a creative, endeavor. If you want to write a piece of music, a lot of you people out there have a lot of things you would like to do, and you don't do them. Well, this show, Creative Magic Unchained, will help you take the first steps towards your dream, towards your purpose. Another thing, check out on frédéricbaye.com. Goodies. Hey, this part of my website, actually it's called Cool Tools. I changed it to Cool Tools. I share with you a lot of the tools that I use to bring to you this podcast, and just other stuff that, to set up my website, and books that you guys should read. I mean, there are many books that I read, and I give you a few lists, and I really think it can help you guys. I really do think it can help you guys. All right, catch me on Facebook, Frédéric Baye. On Twitter @ByFred, my YouTube channel, Frédéric Baye, and that's about it for today. What I gotta do, I gotta eat. I got an interview later on with a magician for the Creative Magic Unchained. Ooh, I can't wait to do that one. And gotta do some laundry. That's basically it. With this, stay safe, and don't forget, live with purpose, passion, and love. See ya.